As of October 2022, over 9 million households have been reached with bi-monthly cash transfer of 10,000 naira, which has hugely helped to address poverty and hunger in millions of families. According to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, the federal government has invested over 1.3 trillion naira in various programs under its National Social Investment Program in 6 years, with over 15 million lives impacted. With 99 days left for President Muhammadu Buhari to leave office, there seems to be more ground to be covered, and the government says it will continue its intervention to the vulnerable in society till the very last day of the present administration.
Well, joining us now in the studio tonight to talk more on this and other issues is former National Program Coordinator, National Cash Transfer Office, Hajia Halima Shehu. She's also the National Director of Social and Humanitarian Directorate of the Tinubu Shetima Presidential Campaign Council. Thank you so much for being here tonight, Halima. And of course, 15 million lives have been impacted with what President Buhari has done in the last 6 years of his administration. But the big question is, how impactful would you say this has been, and how does your candidate, if he eventually becomes president, intend to continue or even do better than what President Buhari has done so far?
Well, up till November 10th, 2022, I was the program coordinator of the largest intervention in this country, which is the Conditional Cash Transfer Program. That program touched the lives of 2 million homes across 36 states and the FCT in 630 local governments in 55,000 communities across 7,000 political wards. I have personally witnessed life-changing situations of our beneficiaries. The program does not stop at just giving 5,000 naira by monthly targeted cash transfers to the poor and vulnerable homes at the grassroots in the country. It goes a long way, much more than that. So there are other program development objectives of that program. If you are enrolled into that program, you must enroll your children in school. That we have seen an increment of enrollment in school children, and then infant and maternal mortality rate has dropped just by a 5,000 grant. And then the trainings that our beneficiaries have been taken into, the coaching and mentoring, skills acquisition, there is no one home amongst the 2 million homes that are not into skills. So those families, I will tell you for a fact, and the facts are there to see, that they are standing on their own. Another name of the program is Household Uplifting Program.
Okay, I was actually
she hasn't answered the second part of how your candidate, if he eventually emerges Nigeria's next president, how he intends to up this or continue with the social investment program of President Muhammadu Buhari.
Everyone between you and I and every Nigerian knows that an Aswaju is a philanthropist who is famous for touching lives and alleviating poverty, even from his track record as a governor of Lagos State. We see how he has used his own salary. He dedicated his salary to uplift and reach out to the poor and vulnerable residents in Lagos. He paid their medical and educational bills through various interventions. Look at the Aswaju Foundation. It touches the lives of more than 150,000 Nigerians in Lagos. And this is beside all other interventions that he has been given. The social investment program, for a fact, you have to know that Aswaju was part and parcel of its formation. So extending into such a structured program, who in the life and the history of Nigeria is the best of programs that has touched the grassroots. In fact, there is no one government since 1960 till date that has touched the lives of Nigeria like that program.
That's a huge claim.
The records are there, and you can
I'm also
go back
aware
there
that
and see.
affordable credit to MSMEs is part of your programs, right? Oh, okay. Well, we'll come to that. I was already coming to the issue of school enrollments, enrolling children in schools. What's your progress coefficient on that across the 6 geopolitical zones?
Well, so I don't have a matching percentage to say that this is how far we have reached, because when we're talking about poverty, more than 45% of Nigerians lack the basic human needs. So if you're touching 2 million homes, we're talking about 10 million individuals. And we're in a country that has more than 100 million that lack the basic human needs. But with the interventions that we have been given in this administration, look at the national homegrown school feeding. Because children are being fed in school. Now, if you look at where we were in 2015, with dropouts and with parents not taking their children to school, with the national homegrown school feeding, we have seen massive enrollment of children in school. Because for a fact that some children go to school hungry, but for now, you know that when you get to school, you're going to be fed. So it like energizes them, it motivates them to go to school. So with an Asuwaju as a president, I know that he is going to expand and look at all of those social intervention programs that have recorded tremendous achievements. The ones with gaps, I know he's going to look around and look at the gaps, and he'll fill it up. And he'll also come up with all other interventions. And one thing I know with an Asuwaju is that you first of all look at the economic growth, especially what he did in Lagos. The IGR when he met it in Lagos was just 600 million. Before he left, it was at about 7 billion. Now we are talking of 753 billion. There is no one state in Nigeria that has that track record of achievement. So the first thing that an Asuwaju is going to look at is the economic growth of the country. Because without funds, we cannot do nothing.
It's a good thing you've highlighted the issue of funds. And as the National Director of Social and Humanitarian Directorate of the campaign, I'm sure this lack of cash, like a lot of people like to call it, must be affecting your work. Talk to us about how this has really impacted. And do you think, you know, President Buhari insisting on just the 200 naira, that's looking at the old note staying in circulation despite the court order by the Supreme Courts. Do you think it will have any sort of impact on the outcome of the elections? Do you think, especially looking at from the humanitarian angle, which you are in charge of in the campaigns?
Yeah, Nigeria, we're not there yet. We're not a cashless society yet. And there's no policy that is meant to cause pain to, you know, it's people. All these policies are supposed to be seamless. So of course, there is no cash anywhere. You and I know, even the INEC has said it has challenges with its movement and all of that. We need cash to do a lot of things. And so it's definitely affecting everybody, and we're no exemption.
Okay, now tell us about your affordable credit to MSMEs, talking about your conditional cash transfer program. When we say cash transfer, it doesn't have to be cash anyway. It could be, well, it doesn't have to
transfer.
be.
That's what it's a transfer.
Well, yeah,
so
before I left the office, I digitized the process.
So, very good. So how do you measure compliance, and how well have you been able to impact MSMEs? Because you know that the MSME is actually the engine room of any economy.
Oh, yes. So I'll start with the accountability process of that program, which most Nigerians are not aware of, or they cease to be deaf on certain things, because Nigerians choose to believe what they want to believe. But as someone who coordinated that program, I'll tell you, and I'll still tell you, that there is no program in the respect of intervention in the history of 1960 till date, that is Nigerian history, that has had a structure like the conditional cash transfer program. So in respect of accountability, that program starts from the CBN disbursing funds to payment service providers who are licensed and approved by the CBN.
When you say that Nigerians believe what they want to believe, could it be that, have you thought of the possibility that it could be because the people who are not believing in your program are not being touched by, are not being impacted? Perhaps they don't know anyone who is in MSME who has been impacted by your affordable credit?
Thank you very much for that. You know, I keep saying, that's why I say this is the most credible intervention of its type in this country. And that is why you and I may not know the beneficiaries. I came to know the beneficiaries because I was coordinating the program, but the beneficiaries are at grassroots. If you want me to take you to 2 million homes, if you're ready, we'll hit the road.
Okay.
There are places that I go that I have to take a canoe. Do you understand what I mean? And then if you talk about the beneficiaries not being known to anybody, the conditional cash transfer is happening in 63 countries across the globe. It is supported by the World Bank. So it has to go according to global best practices.
Absolutely.
You mind the beneficiaries from the local governments, from the state. Even the state governors cannot influence that register. You and I cannot influence it. Not even the president has inserted 1% in that register. You have to be the poorest of the poor, living in the remotest of communities to be in that register.
Well, Halima, at the end of the day, despite all of the achievements that this has made, we still have to not forget the fact that, according to UNICEF, 20+ million out-of-school children still exist in Nigeria. 85% of them actually in northern Nigeria. You have talked about some of these programs and how it's been able to get the children back into the classrooms. Yes, we've seen all that being achieved, but we're talking about sustaining this or even upping it beyond even the classrooms. But yes, 1.3 trillion has been spent by the Buhari administration. So I ask you directly, if Bola Ahmed Tinubu becomes president of Nigeria, how do you intend to sustain this, looking at the economic realities of Nigeria at the moment and even the predictions of even the World Bank and the likes? Moving forward, how do you intend to sustain this and even get more children into the classroom?
I just said that Ad Aswaju is going to work at the IGR of this country. Before he sorts out to borrow, and Aswaju will do it internally. He's going to exhaust himself trying to make our economy functional first. Someone who did Lagos State, will surely do Nigeria. Then if you do that, and then you have all of these interventions in place, we're talking of Nigeria, for goodness sake, the largest country in Africa. And we have a population of more than 100 million people that lack the basic human needs of life. Do you expect it to happen in just a click? No. We have to take it step by step. The good thing is that the structures are in place. The interventions have started. We have a record of the ones that are successful. We are going to continue with them. We're going to source for funds. We are going to look inward. That's what I'm saying. We are going to have an internally generated revenue within Nigeria. We don't hope to go out and borrow. There is a lot we can do within us to even raise funds. Do you understand? So that is what he's going to do. Number one, the population we're talking about, that population is going to, he's going to convert it into an advantage. There are a lot of countries that have a big population. Look at China. So we're going to go out there and see what other countries have done. It's not a curse to have a lot of people around you. I come from a family of so many people, and we love ourselves. So we can use our population, to our advantage in Nigeria, as long as we have infrastructures and as long as we have enough job creations. Our population it's an advantage.
What are your principal chances of winning anyway?
I love that question. There is no one candidate that stands a chance more than Aswaju.
Why do you say so?
Because of what I have just mentioned. There is no one candidate that has the track record that an Aswaju has in this country. There is no one candidate that has achieved a quarter of what an Aswaju has.
Just before you came, the economist just gave a glowing. The economist just gave a glowing. You know the good thing
of all the candidates. This has been a governor. I don't even know he exists. Okay. Honestly. You understand what I mean?
Who doesn't exist? Who
but that party I don't even know about.
But we do know he's one of them. You can't say I doubt.
No,
you say he doesn't.
No.
He does exist. Peter Obi is actually the presidential candidate of the Labour Party. But that's not the conversation.
We don't see him as a threat anyway. So we don't.
You don't see him as a threat doesn't mean he doesn't exist. Okay, but good place to drop the anchor tonight on the conversation. Hajia Halima Shehu, the National Director of Social and Humanitarian Directorate of the Tinubu Shatima Presidential Campaign Council. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for coming.